This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, February 18th. From Sarasota, Florida, I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast about all aspects of home technology, home automation. This week we've got a couple of HomeTech headlines, a couple of letters landed in the mailbag for the first time in a long time. So glad to see that. We've got a couple of things to talk about there, and of course the pick of the week. But first, guys, were you one of the of the 112 million people that tuned in for the Superb Owl XVI, whatever this thing, LVI? Did you guys watch it? Did you see anything? Did you see football?
I watched it. It was a good game. I enjoyed the game. We ordered wings, we ordered pizza. We had a good time watching it, But being in Canada, we get the Canadian feed, so I missed out on all the American commercials.
Oh.
I was kind of upset at my friend because he didn't find a way to get them. So I'm going to have to go look them up online and see them, because that's the fun part right there, the American commercials.
Yeah, 6 million for 30 seconds or something this year. It wasn't cheap. TJ, did you get a chance to tune into the game? No.
No, we did not tune into the Super Bowl at all. Not a big seller at the house here. I used it as an excuse to buy chicken wings, and that was about it. So I'm always a big fan of the commercials, and I watch them on YouTube after the game every year. Well,
not all of us may have been part of the 110, 12 million or whatever that watched the game, but I guess it's weird that we have 100% of us had chicken wings on that night. So go figure.
I wonder how many chicken wings got eaten that night.
Destroyed. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, the commercials are great. The halftime show was really good. Probably one of the best productions I've seen, like live productions I've seen in a very long time. Like, it was extremely well done from a production standpoint. The artists were, of course, amazing. I mean, it was like the top tier of who's who in the hip hop and R&B world. So it's like, okay, we'll go ahead and get them lined up to see what they. Oh, of course, they nailed every mark, every camera movement. Boom, they were there. And like watching some of the behind the scenes stuff, how they set up the set, how they got into positions before anybody realized who that was. Is that 50 Cent?
Yeah.
He's hanging upside down. How did he get upside down? Yeah, he just walked right up there, jumped upside down, climbed up onto the ceiling somehow. I don't know how he did it. I'm sure they had things for him to grab onto, but it was wild. It was wild to watch. And man, it was a really good show. Like overall, just like really entertaining and a good show. And the live feed was actually good. Like the music that came off of it was actually good. Like that very rarely happens that we get a good live mix. And we got it this time. So yay, good job. If anybody who is on the production staff of the Super Bowl listens to HomeTech, good job. We really appreciate it.
I really love the show. I was expecting at one point like a Tupac hologram to pop up and just complete it all. That would have just made it, like, that would have just topped it up.
It's not good. It's not like that hasn't been done before, right? Like it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But yeah, that's true. They did play California Love, which was great. It was great to see. It had a good time. It was a really really good show, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I did find it funny that we kind of talked to parents in the crowd, and they're like, "Yeah, I turned it off or turned it down. It was too loud." And it's like, I thought it was funny, and I saw a post that somebody said, "Oh yeah, first time. Thank God the Super Bowl is not booking the Rolling Stones or these artists for old people." And then pause for effect. It's like, oh yeah, we are. That's us now.
Yes.
Whoops. All right. Well, moving on. Guys, what do you say we jump into this week's HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, the writing seemed to be on the wall. A couple of months back, the company Nice, which is, I think it was an Italian or is a European brand, something like that, purchased Nortek control outside of Nortek. And they said nothing was going to change. But fast forward a couple months, and now it seems that Nice is going to phase out the Nortek control brand starting this year, 2022. 2GIG, Elan, Speakercraft, and other Nortek brands will go to market as brands of Nice. The North American leadership includes Luca Longen, Longhin as deputy CEO. Paul Williams, interesting there. He was just over at GE, by GE, and Savant, so he's kind of got some new digs there. Paul Williams is going to be chief product officer, and Lisa Potok as CFO. So a little bit of a change up, but what it sounds like is they're not really like getting rid of anything. They're just gonna wipe the Nortek brand off of everything and call it Nice, which is probably nice. It's fewer characters. It's definitely less money they'd have to spend on signage. TJ, you're a big 2 gig fan. What do you think about this when you saw it?
Well, this is definitely a nice transition from Nortek here.
Nice.
I'm glad to see them not retiring the individual names though, because they are so well known. You know, a lot of people advertise with 2 gig or Elan. Speakercraft's another huge one. So I'm glad to see them continue on with those brand names. The transition totally makes sense, and definitely the writing on the wall for that one. This article is fascinating though, because it's linking the only known change is that they were at the International Builder Show. So is it even listed anywhere else yet? Not really that exciting. So
no. I mean, I guess it's kind of the only show that's really in the industry show that's kind of happened. ISE would be happening sometime soon, I think, if it's going to happen at all. And then after that, there's a long wait through the doldrums of summer before we head into like CEDIA season. So, and we sometimes we get some nice little things out of Google and Apple and everything in between here and there. Amazon as well. Gavin, I want you to hold up your hands like this, like hold up a hand, and I'm going to start reading through these brand names, and I want you to like put a finger up if you've heard of one of these brands outside of Nortek here. All right, so 2 gig, Elan, Linear, Mighty Mule, Speakercraft, Proficient, Furman, Panamax. Oh, wow. No. Okay. Geffen? No. All right. Numera and Television, Abode. There we go. And High Security, which I'm not even going to put a finger up for that one. So
I don't even know who that is.
So I heard about maybe 4 of them, and the only reason I know about them is because you guys talk about them, whether the hub or during our tech tops, you mention them. But ask me what they do, I have no clue.
Yeah, I think the only 2 on that list that would be kind of customer facing would be Abode, which was purchased by Nice a couple years ago as well. And then Linear. Makes a lot of products, so maybe consumers would be aware of them. But everybody else on that list is not really well known.
Linear definitely makes products that would face a customer, but I don't think they'd ever noticed the name.
Right.
Like gate controls, garage door openers, maybe access
and their
control.
Logo is kind of lame. So
they changed their logo. I went to their website now, and it's not. They have this weird outline of a name now. It's not the one that definitely looks like it was from like the 60s anymore. So I didn't actually recognize the brand when I went to the website. Yeah, there you go. Branding, yay. All right, let's move on. I thought at first it said Atlona, but it's Altona Homes. So big news up in a small town called Pickering, Ontario. Some of you may know where that is.
Yay.
Altona Homes announces the construction of Canada's first pre-planned residential smart microgrid community. That's a mouthful. So funded through the Ontario Ministry of Energy's Smart Grid Fund and Ontario's Independent Electricity System Operator Grid Innovation Fund. Okay, I take back from anything I said about being a mouthful in the first sentence. All right, the 27-unit community celebrated the completion of one of Canada's first pre-planned nested microgrid residential communities. The community encompasses rooftop solar, lithium-ion battery, energy storage, electric vehicle charging station, smart metering, and an integrated distribution energy service platform to control and coordinate the components of a 25 kilowatt rooftop microgrid. And that microgrid should provide about 10% of the power needed to run the community. So, Gavin, this is evidently within walking distance of you, it sounds like.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even know this was happening around the corner. I had to see it in the news to know what's going on in my own neighborhood. But yeah, I was happy to see this, actually. Things going on. I keep seeing Tesla charging stations pop up everywhere in our neighborhood now. So there's a big push in Pickering for this clean energy coming up. And we do live close to a nuclear station too, right? Like 5 minutes away. So there's a lot of energy out here.
Clean air is what I hear from you.
Oh yes, yes. Great to fish around there. The water's always warm.
Warm, yeah. TJ, have you seen anything like this in Ohio? There, are they planning microgrid communities or anything like this? Like, do you see solar and what those Tesla or Tesla batteries going into homes?
I haven't seen a lot of this integrated with the home as it's being built. We've seen a lot of retrofits of people adding Tesla chargers and whatnot to their garages when they buy a house. But I don't know of anything around here that has that kind of integration with rooftop solar and batteries and some other things. And this totally makes sense to me. I don't see why people wouldn't jump on this to just have yourself some extra power just build up, especially with the batteries.
Yeah, I would love to have a battery backup for my house, or at least certain aspects of my house. And then add that with solar. So hurricane season comes around and we get taken off the energy grid. Like, it'd be nice to be able to power something or anything inside your house for the couple of days before they get out there and fix the electricity in the middle of the summer. So yeah, it would be great.
My one concern is, like, when you start getting into stuff like this, it starts to get expensive too, right? Like, you start putting solar panels on your house. If you got to ever replace the shingles on your roof, you have to have somebody come and disconnect them, take off the solar powers, then you do the shingles, which is already an expensive process as it is. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think a lot of people jump on this yet. It's just really expensive. They really need to find a way to lower costs.
No, it's always made way more sense in my eyes for the commercial space. Here we have a lot of flat roofed commercial, warehouses and everything. It would make a lot of sense just to put solar panels on top of those. Residential, I think, is a harder sell because of those issues that you just mentioned, and not even talking about the high upfront cost initially for everything.
Yeah, I just investigated that here at my house, and I want to say, well, there's actually no out-of-pocket cost here in Florida, which, oh God, if I see another YouTube video advertisement sent to me over this, I'm just going to, I don't know. Anyway, I did look into it, and they will basically loan you, the way it works, they'll make you a loan for the purchase of the equipment. And it's like a 30-year loan. So basically what they're trying to do is get you, even with what the electrical use that you have is now, they want to pay for 99% of the electricity that you use through solar. So they're going to put a bunch of solar panels on your roof. You take that money, you get a loan, and the loan comes out to be what your electrical bill is today. So like if you have a $200 electric bill, that's what your loan is going to be every month. So you pay that for 30 years, essentially. So it doesn't go up, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. We weren't sold on it completely because, again, of many of the reasons that Kevin kind of went over, like, well, what if this has got to happen and this, that, and the other? They had answers for all that stuff, but I don't know. It seems it's different tech, and I do want to do it one of these days, but maybe not today. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't see this really becoming popular either unless you're able to resell that solar or that energy that you build up back to the electrical grid. I don't know how it works in Florida and Canada there. But in Ohio, you can't sell past, I think, like 10 or 25% of the energy that you store up. So you can't even sell that much back to the grid. So if you do accumulate a bunch, you're pretty much just holding on to it unless you have a ton of battery storage.
Now, we do have the net metering here, which means that when it's working, you're actually able to sell it back. And that's how they kind of have the same program set up for kind of like subsidizing your bill over a year. Like, it'll level off. It's kind of nice because usually here in the winter, we don't use that much electricity because there's no reason to. You just open up your windows and you have a great time. And then like during the summer, you're inside and you want everything nice and cool, and everything outside is just a hot hellscape. So yeah, that's when you really pay for your electrical. And what they have is that net metering program where it'll even it out for the entire year, just kind of based on an average of what you use. And that's the way it's kind of the same idea for solar. It's kind of evens out your bill for the whole year, and then you're basically paying back into the system what you produce. Yeah, but that had to be done at a state level, and you definitely if Ohio doesn't have that, it doesn't make sense to put it in. All right, moving on here. The FCC has opened up some broadband to competition for a number of Americans living in apartments. So if you do live in an apartment complex, you may only have one choice of internet provider. And there's very few things that you can do to actually switch companies. But thanks to a unanimous 4-0 vote on Tuesday, the FCC banned broadband providers like AT&T and Verizon from entering into certain revenue sharing agreements with landlords that keep competing companies from serving a building's tenants. The rules also force broadband providers to disclose any exclusive marketing arrangements they have with landlords in their buildings. So any sale and leaseback agreements where a provider sells the wiring to a landlord and exclusively leases it back, those are also banned. That happens quite a bit in MDUs and condos here. The rules also undermine any past agreements landlords entered into with those providers. So, like I said, kind of big news, especially for apartment people who live in apartments, or here in Florida live in condos and that kind of thing. This happened all the time, where I would go bid a condo job out, and I'd hear back from the builder or developer, no, we're just gonna have Comcast come in here. They said they're gonna wire it. Like, well, I know what else they said. But they're not gonna wire all the structured wiring in the house, right? They're not gonna terminate everything. It's gonna be kind of a junk job. And of course, that's what it ended up being. Just, it was only for Comcast to get in there and put in their networks. TJ, what do you think about this? Does it sound good for consumers, or it sounds like it's good? What do you think?
This is a big deal to me because I live in an apartment right now. And I've lived in apartments, for the past 10 years now. And a lot of them do restrict the ISPs that you can have in there. So it's not uncommon for an apartment around here to only have a deal with AT&T. And if you have terrible AT&T service, or you just don't want to use AT&T, you have no other option. Now that 5G home internet is becoming a thing, that's kind of starting to go away a little bit. But I'm very happy to see this being fought in a court of law, just because it does restrict consumers' access to the internet. So this is a win-win to me. Hopefully it works out for everybody, but I think this is great.
Not a law, but just a ruling from the FCC, and the FCC is politically appointed, so the winds can change and this can be back, but at least it kind of sets a precedent. Like 4-0 is kind of like, it's a partisan thing. I think there's like 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats on it. So it's not like they're going to get anything done, but for it to be 4-0, I think kind of sends a message. Gavin, do you guys have anything like this up in Canada?
Yeah, we do. When I lived in a condo, probably like 5-6 years ago, I only had one choice of who I could pull into that condo, and whether it was good or bad or anything, it was the only choice I had. And when I was moving out, they were actually just switching over to another provider. So, it kind of hurt. You didn't have any say. The only good thing about it is that I found the prices, you got a discount. Right? Like the prices were actually pretty good, because that provider struck whatever deal. Some condos gave you free internet. Some condos, you had it for a really good price. So I couldn't really complain too much about that, but choice is always good. And when there's competition, things work out better.
That is a good point that I forgot about too. When we had, like AT&T, for example, we lived in an apartment that was only AT&T. And we were able to get free internet up to, I think, 25 megabits per second as part of our lease. And we were able to get gigabit for, I think, $50 a month, which is, over half price compared to normal rates. So that is a very good point, that a lot of times you got a discount on your internet service because of that, or a free cable box or something like that. Yeah.
And kind of like, taking a step back, what that does is keeps the competition out longer, because who's going to pay extra for Comcast to come in and drop their gigabit in for, $150 a month when you can have gotten it for $50. So yeah, this is a win-win for consumers, and hopefully it makes these companies kind of fight it out, deathmatch style for those condo jobs. So let's kind of keep on our streaming theme here. Speaking of streaming, Nvidia Shield TV got a few software fixes with a new software rollout called the Shield Experience Upgrade 9.0.1. There was a much needed patch last month's buggy 9.0 release based on Android 11, and Nvidia posted release notes on its forum today that details some more fixes and in another post, they posted some known issues that still lurk within this update. So they're not out of the weeds yet. I did this crossed my radar because I saw a lot of people complaining about this 9.0 release maybe a couple weeks back. And TJ said it messed you up too. What happened with this thing?
Yeah, so the Plex server for me, I was using the built-in Plex media server on the Nvidia Shield, and I just started experiencing a lot of crashes and just poor performance with it. I eventually moved on to the Unraid server for the full Plex server experience. But my Nvidia Shield has been pretty buggy since it updated to 9.0. I don't think I've updated it to this newest version, so I'll have to check that out and see if it makes it any better. But I've definitely had a lot of the same problems.
Gavin, what about you? Do you use a Shield, or have you just seen this in passing like me?
I don't use a Shield. But in the forums with the various apps I use, I saw a lot of people complaining about things not working, and it was always, blamed on the Shield. Once they mentioned they got the Shield update, it was a big thing. For example, Channels, which is a popular app on the Shield, they were running around like as soon as that update came out trying to figure out what was going on. Because it kind of, I guess it caught them by surprise. On the Shield, is the update optional, or does it just get forced onto you?
Optional as far as I'm aware. It's not automatic for me.
So a lot of people, they saw the update, they applied it, and it broke things. And, I think they just need to work better with the developers, or the developers need to, keep close eye on updates such as this.
And the issue with this one, too, as far as I'm aware, they actually jumped from Android 9 to Android 11. So they actually skipped a whole Android version. And I could be wrong on this. But that was part of the issue, too, is that they made such a big jump with Android updates. So, yeah, not a good combination of things.
Yeah, I don't envy them. I being a platform owner like that and having to worry about all these edge cases and I won't say random apps, but all these random apps that are running on your device. And I don't envy pushing that button at Nvidia and like finding out, oh no, what have we done? But I did see a lot of people saying, okay, I'm done with the Nvidia. I'm moving back over to Apple TV or over to Roku or something else until they get everything squared away. But I've known for a long time. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about the Nvidia Shield for years. And it's weird to like, this must be the first time that I've heard like a mass amount of enough where it kind of bubbles up to me, a mass amount of people that have said, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And good luck.
I still love mine. Mine is not going anywhere anytime soon. I like the compatibility with everything. So.
Yeah. I will say when you get back into the times like here in Florida, when you can go traveling, like I have this little pack that I called it a tech pack, so to speak. And I needed something small for that. And I usually use the Apple TV, and those are, pretty brick. They're like a brick. They're really heavy. And I've been using this Apple TV, and when you go to a hotel room, you can set up a travel Wi-Fi router and everything and hook up the Apple TV and watch your Plex and watch Disney and all that stuff using the hotel TV. All good to go. And I got to a hotel a couple weeks back, and I'm like, this hotel, I can't plug the Apple TV into, there's no power. It was nice. It had like the TV mounted on the wall, but there's no power. I can't plug it. So I had to run down to a grocery store and buy like a 10, 15 foot extension cord and run that across the floor like an animal. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what I really need? I really need to just put a Roku in the box here because it's compatible with everything. It's got all the apps that I use. It's got it even has the Apple video stuff on it now. So I tossed that in the bag, pulled out the Apple TV, and it's a whole lot lighter now. Oh my gosh. The Apple TV is like a brick compared to like one of the little Roku mini things. Like all it is, the remote's bigger than that thing. And it will power over USB, like the 5-volt USB thing that's already on the TV anyway. So I should be good to go, hopefully next time. But I know the Shield is not that. The Shield is a little bit bigger, right?
Well, they make two versions. They make the Nvidia Shield Pro, and then they make a smaller version that's basically like a little tube. So you got two different options there.
Oh, well, if I'm not a big fan of the Roku, but I might take a look at that. If it doesn't need to be plugged into power, it might be an option for me. If it can work off 5 volts from a USB jack or something. All right. All the links and topics we've discussed on the show tonight can be found on our show notes at HomeTech.fm/376. Once again, that is HomeTech.fm/376. All right, guys. Like I teased at the top of the show, got a couple of things in the mailbag this week. Wanted to read a couple of these. First up, this kind of talks about a conversation we had about Sonos and Whole House Audio and Sonos and mostly Sonos. Honestly, I listened back to that. I'm like, wow, we talked for like 45 minutes on Sonos, but no talking about Sonos this time because Brandon sent us a message here. Said, just heard the call out for feedback on Blue Sound, which I think TJ, you brought up. It's my go-to. My primary control system is Elan, and Sonos doesn't have a great interface through Elan. So Blue Sound has everything I need, a full-featured driver, as well as Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, AirPlay 2. It doesn't integrate directly with Apple Music or Spotify, which could be nice. He says, I've shown a few of my customers just how much better Tidal works, and they've switched over for that integration. Hope that's helpful. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. TJ, I think you were looking into Blue Sound and one other company. What was it?
Yeah, I was looking at a Blue Sound and a Aurylic. And actually, since the show last week, I ordered an Aurylic A30, I think it is, a little wireless streamer amp. I think it was $150 cost. So I'm excited to get that in. But yeah, thanks for sending that message in, Brandon, talking about Blue Sound. I'm definitely going to have to check them out next and see how their integration is with everything we do.
I've seen these guys at Cedia, probably. I know I've seen them. I recognize
the Aurylic brand.
No, Blue Sound for sure. Yeah, I've seen them at like Cedia, but I have not seen them in the wild. So, and I guess that goes to say that I haven't been in too many homes that like maybe Elan homes that would have the need for this kind of integration or anything like that. But it looks like a nice little compact player. It's kind of nice looking.
The only people I've really heard talk about Blue Sound are people that I would consider like audiophiles, the ones that like a little higher quality audio. They seem to kind of gravitate towards Blue Sound. So that might be worth checking out. And that's actually what Brandon brings up too, along with the Tidal integration. So definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something a little better, higher quality than Sonos.
Yeah, neat stuff. Well, another message came in from James over in the UK. He says, hi, I am no pro DIYer. Thanks for the great podcast. If you're still looking for an easy way to get an alert when the dryer finishes, try this. And he sent a link over to an article that kind of is a step-by-step directions on how to have Alexa listen for beeping appliances and running water and that kind of things. I guess Alexa they've had this skill for a long time where it can be set up to listen for, I've always thought it was like a glass break detection or something, but I guess it can do more. Gavin, have you you're the big sound Alexa user, Echo user on the panel here.
Yep.
What do you think about this particular integration with figuring out with the dryer and figuring out if the dryer stopped?
This is a great tip, first of all, because Alexa added this option later last year, I think it was. It will listen for things like alarms, glass breaking, if you have arms, stuff like that. And you can actually create actions based on that, right? Use them as triggers. So if you're in the Alexa ecosystem, it's a good, you already have the devices, just set it up. It's a good way of doing it. I don't use my Alexa like that because my hub, I have a Hubitat, and everything goes through that hub. So I look more for devices like that. But no, this is a great tip. And some of the other, I also saw another one. I think it was Fabaro, has a light sensor. So it's a little sensor. You just put it over the light on the dryer, and if it goes on or off, it will signal. You could send the command back to your hub that the device is on or off, right? But my dryer is older. I didn't even have a light at all either. So using Alexa, that's a good use of the Alexa though.
Yeah, it's pretty inventive. I mean, it's thinking outside the box, because I was thinking of some hardware thing that I would physically attach, like you did, physically attach to the dryer, or a light sensor to figure out if a light's on or off. Yeah, it's listening for the sound and then just kind of pushes that out through the Alexa ecosystem onto your Echoes, and maybe can alert you some way, however you set it up to do whatever you want there.
And I've seen similar things that do listen for your fire alarms, for example.
Yeah.
It will, like, you sit it next to your alarm and it's a Z-Wave thing and it just listens for that alarm, and then it will trigger your hub as well. So you can have like your AC turned off or something like that. So it's that kind of concept. And, you know, it's great to see these little devices that make things easy.
Yep. I think Ring has a couple of like those Z-Wave things on their website, because I was looking for how to integrate the Z-Wave alarms that I don't know. I don't think they're Z-Wave. I guess they're whatever 2 gig uses. So it's not Z-Wave, but I was looking how to integrate those with the Ring alarm that I'm using now. They work just fine, standalone, not hooked up to anything, but they don't call anybody. And so I guess Ring has the little microphone things that you can stick up there next to the alarms. And when they go off, it calls the fire department, which is done too much at my house. Inadvertently, turns out. So anyway, moving on here, we've got a pretty cool pick of the week. I kind of threw this on. I ran across a Reddit post. I should probably dig up where that is, but somebody had posted a pic of one of these. I think it was under like our cable porn or Home Lab or something like that, and they had posted a pic of a rack that they had just finished, and in the rack they had these switches, and the switches in the blanks they had like little dust covers on the Ethernet ports. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's a great idea. Little silicone dust covers. I have never really seen those, I guess. Maybe I have and just didn't put 2 thoughts to them. But I went on 125 of them. I think it was like $10 on Amazon. I got it like the next day. And I have a switch here that I was kind of worried about that because I kind of put the picture in the show notes. You can see it's kind of mounted flush with my desk. And I've got like a little 2 RU rack thing kind of hanging off the back of my desk now. That switch faces up, and I was going to plug cables into it. But of course, if it's facing up, anything could just fall into one of those open Ethernet ports and short something out. Dust covers, man. That's the way to go. You guys need any dust covers? I have a 24 port switch here or 12 port switch actually, and 125 of them. So what is that? I can spare.
I thought this, when I first saw this, I laughed, but then I remember when I was putting a switch in my garage, I was actually thinking about this. I was wondering, I was worried that the dust in my garage would get into the switch, and dust and electronics, they don't play nice together. I was even thinking little spiders looking for warmth or something would crawl in there, and this would have been perfect for that, right? Instead, I just took one of my Ethernet cables and plugged them in and made sure all ports had something in it, right? And laid it there temporarily till it's used. But no, it's useful.
Yeah. It's not expensive either. Like it's $10. You get 100 of them. You could do at least, maybe 1 or 2 switches if they're in a dusty environment or something like that. But it also makes it look pretty nice. And I think like if you are like TJ, if you did this on a job site, maybe it would discourage that Comcast technician from coming in and like plugging something in. Actually, I take that back. Comcast, they're going to come in and they're going to be like, here's the Cat 5, mash. Why won't it fit in here? Mash, and just ruin the entire switch. So,
or they'll just say that they can't do it. They'll be like, I've never seen that Ethernet switch before. There's no ports on it. Can't do it. And then they'll leave.
Yeah, you're all full up. I don't understand this. So maybe that is a good idea. I don't know. It could go either way.
This is definitely a cheaper option than a lot of times what we used to do is just put empty RJ45 plugs inside the ports. So this is definitely a lot cheaper than that option.
That's it's like leaving, like taking off your like hubcaps off a car or something and like leaving them somewhere. I don't know. That doesn't work for me at all. No. This is the way to go. Less expensive. Like I said, $10 on Amazon. You can probably find them. Like I'm sure you can find them in bulk, from like a IT, distributor or whatever for cheaper. But, actually after I got these, I was like, well, this switch also has, a console port on it with, USB-C. I wonder if they make them for you. Sure enough, they make them for USB-C because it's on every cell phone. And it has a couple of USB ports and SFP ports. So I went ahead and ordered those. Yeah. So I'm going to be flush. I'm going to be flush in dust covers now. Like this is the way to go.
And if you have a 3D printer, I found a link on Thingiverse where you can actually print your own. So you can make them whatever color and whatever filament you want.
I'm going to buy a $300 3D printer to print up $10 worth of. Yeah. Thanks for helping me spend money this week.
Yeah, exactly. The old joke behind a 3D printer is you buy the 3D printer you print a new 3D printer, and then you return the 3D printer, and you're good to go. Like no cost.
What really happens though is you buy a 3D printer, and then you buy another one, and then you buy another one. So, and that's how I have 3 right now.
Oh well, hey, look, Gavin.
I'll send you some.
He can send you some.
He's probably running all 3 at the same time because he's cut his week-long prints down to 2 days.
It gets very hot in this room.
He's gonna bring those covers up with your landscape speakers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
They'll be 3D printed landscape speakers, but yeah.
Ooh, I can make the spikes for you.
All right. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for the show, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm, or you can visit the website at HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the form. Well, guys, that wraps up another week in HomeTech. It's still kind of slow, and it's amazing to me as to like I figured there would be like this huge rush coming into February, getting closer to ISE, where we start seeing announcements from companies, especially in the CI space. But usually we see a bunch of product show up, and it's been like tumbleweeds. Everybody's either keeping secrets or can't ship anything. So
I also think the chip shortage is still affecting us too, right? Like some companies are still having problems getting stock, while others seem to have lots of stock for some reason.
Yeah, it's really strange. I can tell you, we get like stock updates on what we can buy from large companies, and it's like you really don't have any of the most popular thing in stock. Like I can't order them at all. That's amazing. Like okay. So I don't know. We're a small fish in a very, very large pond for them, but it's kind of amazing that you can't get some of the like things like products you think that would be their flagship products that they would have in stock. Although nope, they're just not there. Same thing with networking. Wi-Fi 6 access points. We're playing this fun game now where we get Wi-Fi 6 access points in, and we installed this thing where it'll email out people if they if they sign up, say notify me in case it comes back into stock, and then they will sell out like I don't know, whatever we get in stock will sell out within 30 minutes. It'll be gone, and and then people will be like, hey, I got this email, but I don't see anything on your site. I'm like, yeah. That was yesterday, sir.
That was 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't really tell them that was 45 minutes ago. They're gone. Like you really have to be. It's kind of how the Unify website was working for me too. Like you kind of had to pay attention, and if something came up that you needed, buy it because who knows when it's going to come back in stock.
Well,
so.
I find with the Unify, don't even follow the website. Like sign up to forums where people announce that it's in stock and you'll get faster response. Because by the time you get the notification from Unify about something in stock, it's gone. Right?
It's slow. Yeah. I've noticed that I needed some of those flex switches, and like the outdoor version, and they were in stock when I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I called the person back. I was like, yeah, we can do this thing, this little project we're going to try to do, put a camera up at somebody's gate. But we needed the flex switch to go up there. And yeah, I went back to the website, like, I don't know, the next day to buy it. And I'm like, it's not there anymore. And it says 2 weeks, and it was like 2 months, like before they showed back up on the website. So, yeah. Not a ideal situation when you need product. TJ, are you able to find stuff for your clients these days?
Yeah, I've had to resort to just checking websites daily, sometimes several times a day.
It's like a full-time job.
Yeah, it pretty much is, especially with Ubiquiti stuff. Just like Gavin was saying, the email alerts are not reliable at all. So whenever we have a Ubiquiti system that we've sold, I literally check the website day and night to try to buy those products.
Maybe they just maybe it's not a feature they offer, like the email things. They just don't work, and then that's how they get you. Like they're just like, well, just put in the stock, and Gavin's over there watching the forums. If he needs anything, he'll buy from the guy who's posting the forums.
I'll give you another pro tip. There's scripts you can run that will monitor it and let you know much faster. I've done that too for certain things. So.
I've heard the Ubiquiti Discord channel, I think, is very active, and they also have stock updates that are pretty up to date. So,
I mean, again, though, it's like that has to be your job. Like you can't be on a job hanging a TV or something and like, oh, I can buy those 6 access points I need for the job next week. Nope, you can't. They're gone, sir. They're all gone. Actually, I'm looking at their website now. They have the Wi-Fi 6 Lite, the Wi-Fi 6 Long Range, and the Wi-Fi 6 Pro, as well as a couple of the other Wi-Fi 6 products and some of the Flex HD products, which I really like. So, yeah.
Starting this year, they have done a really good job of keeping stock in compared to the past 6 months of 2021.
Yeah, I think their switches were really killing everybody, and I just clicked the switches to see what they have, and everything looks to be in stock except for the stupid Switch Flex, which I honestly I could use another one because I stupidly bought the Switch Flex Mini, which is not at all like the Switch Flex, but I could use another one of these, and I can't get it now. So, oh well. Next time. But it looks like all their switches are in stock, which is a good thing.
Just have to wait for the Access 0.6 Wi-Fi Enterprise that I definitely don't need.
Shh, that's on early access. You can't talk about it.
I think it is early access, but anybody can sign up for early access though.
But if you go, like, it's all the specs have been published on forums and everything,
right.
So I'm not really, yeah.
Don't come after me, Ubiquity.
Yeah. It looks like a good product, but I did notice one of the things that somebody was saying about it is that the they don't sell any. It has a 2.5 gigabit connection on the back, and they don't have a 2.5 gigabit PoE anything to power it with, other than maybe some switches. So you're gonna get that access point for what, a few $100, but you're gonna need to power the thing with some kind of other switch or some other fancy PoE power supply that they don't have.
Well, to get the most, I think the cheapest switch to take advantage of the 2.5 gigahertz is a $500 network switch, and I'm trying to find it right now. But that's ultimately why I'm not jumping on it, is because I need a $500 network switch to really take advantage of my $250 access point.
And you need a Wi-Fi 6E device, which you don't have either. So there's that.
Just crushing the dreams. I
don't want to remind you, but Wi-Fi 7 is literally around the corner. So before you get the Wi-Fi 6E, think about your Wi-Fi 7 infrastructure that you want to put in.
But we're talking Ubiquity's time frame, so...
I mean, it'll be out next week with Ubiquity. I don't know no one else has Wi-Fi 6 out, and they're dropping $99 Wi-Fi 6 access points when the rest of the market is sitting at, like, if you look at like what Netgear's doing, I mean, I think the Orbi line, I mean, I think you got to buy like 2 or 3 of them, but they're still like
$1,300 or something,
$1,300 to $1,800 somewhere there. Like, it's like, what's Ubiquity doing different to have a $99 access point? I don't know. It's really weird.
No customer service.
But they could sell them for $500 and they could print money with this stuff. There was a theory a long time ago that Ubiquity was like just a place where somebody was washing cash, like it was laundering money. And I was not on board with that. I mean, as I read it, I'm like, that's absurd. They make actually some pretty good product. But now, like, seeing what they're doing, like, I'm like, maybe they are laundering money over there, just like washing drug money or something. I don't know. This is wild. How could they sell it for $99? I don't understand.
I'm not complaining. Seth and TJ may be complaining. I am not complaining.
I am not complaining. I don't know what Seth is happy with that right now.
But it also lets you mark it up a lot more.
I own Ubiquity stock.
You can mark it up for $300 to your clients if you want. Feel free.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I know a lot of people who do, right? Because it's not, you only have to, it's not just putting in like an access point and plugging the wire in, and you actually have to maintain these. And Ubiquity is pretty notorious for, like, hey, we pushed out an update and now everything's broken. Like, or as Gavin, you found out when you put yours in, like the changes, the UI changes from what you see in the forums for support are completely different from the settings that you see in front of yourself, because they are very progressive in how they update the UI and change the names of settings and move them around. And you can't even get to some settings in their settings panel. You have to go to a classic panel to access some things.
That's the part that drives me nuts, is you have to enable the classic panel to be able to get to certain settings. And then once you're done, you got to re-enable the new. I don't know why it's like half baked at this point, but you know what? It works.
At this point, it's been like a year and a half of this, like,
very slow moving.
Yeah. I mean, they got most of the big things out of the way, but for a while there, I mean, even to like disable certain features that you have to disable for it to be reliable in a home network, you'd have to switch to the classic panel and turn them off and then flip back over. And yeah, I don't know. I left the new interface off for a long time, but it's kind of grown on me. It's better now. So
well, we found this great explanation the other day on Reddit about the new user interface. We'll have to link that in the show notes as well. It does a really good job of going over everything.
You have to send that to me too, because I don't remember seeing that one. I've seen a couple of posts about. Oh no, that's the one that like basically walks you through the entire interface and what every single setting.
They do a way better job than Ubiquiti does.
You can't get that support on their website. Like, that guy needs to be paid by Ubiquiti to write their documentation.
He basically went through the advanced Wi-Fi settings. I read that post from beginning to end. It was well written, well thought out, and it made me look at some of my settings closely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it had great information, and then what it not only had that, it had like, if you enable this, here's the pros, here's the cons. Like, whoever wrote it actually knows what they're talking about, which is rare on the internet and really nice to see. And I'm really glad that they were able to share that information. There was an article that I floated by the other day, saying, Google search is dead or something like that, because everything, and I found myself laughing because it said everything you find, people are basically now they're typing in, unify settings, cite Reddit. They're actually just using Google to search Reddit, because the results that you get from a forum or and I'm just saying Reddit is an example, but Reddit is one of them that's up there. The results you get from a specified forum of experts is actually, the results from Google are actually better than what you would get from the scammy things and all the advertisements that they're pushing on you from the main side. So it's really interesting to see what's happening to Google search. Like, to use it properly, you're not actually staying on Google. You're going off to these other forums and things and reading these blog posts to figure out how to do something, which is pretty much how I do everything. It's how I set up, with your help, Gavin and TJ, set up this Unraid server, but also like how to find a part or piece that fits into this HP server. Like, I don't know anything about this stuff. Most of it was on Reddit and the Unraid server. Like, I couldn't find anything about Google. Forget it. But everything was on Reddit and the Unraid forum. So there we go. That's like the hub. And speaking of the hub, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about our Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every single pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, the hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day for conversations. We talked about, I had this theory today, and please, if you're listening to this and you know a definitive answer, and I think we have one now, but if you know a definitive answer, HD base T, or an HD base T Balun, or just a Balun in general, any kind of Balun, and ARC. If I have a TV hanging on the wall with an Apple TV or whatever plugged into it, and a Sonos device or a receiver in the other room, can I use a Balun to go from the TV over to the AV device, right? And TJ, you said, yes, it has to be ARC compatible. We had someone else chip in and say, yes, it has to be ARC compatible. There's still people saying, no, it's not quite right. But I think mostly the answer is yes, it can be done with a Balun type device, like something that converts from HDMI to Cat5 and comes back. But we're definitely looking for that answer, and that's kind of the discussions you'll find in the show. But if you want to help out but can't support the show, totally understand. We'd appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. That wraps up another week in HomeTech news here from everyone here. Please have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
See you next week.